What's up, everybody? I'm LGD Set, and this is Milk Road Degen for July 21st, Monday, July 21st. And I have some good news and some bad news. If you didn't see my tweet, I'll start with the bad news. This is the final live stream to Milk Road Degen. That's right. It's very sad. This is it. This is the end of the daily live streams. I will no longer be getting up in the morning to pick a bunch of meme stories to dictate, which is very sad. It's been a very fun run of I think 4 months straight now that we've been doing this. We're going to be moving to a podcast. That's very good news. Something longer, something meatier, something easier to produce, higher quality, less quantity, let's put it. If you guys have known me for a long time, you know that my roots are in podcasting. I love talking to people. I love asking them questions. To do a lot better with a co-host and asking people questions. It's been fun to do this thing solo and to talk through all this and to get all the comments and hear from you guys on everything that you're interested in. The show will continue. It'll just be in a podcast format. There will be a hiatus for 2 weeks. There won't be any more shows at the end of this week or next week, but there will be starting the week after August. We're targeting August 6th. There'll be the first Milk Road Degen podcast episode, and there will be 2 of those per week. Here's how they're going to work. The first episode of the week is going to be an interview with a guest, like a founder, a big time trader, or maybe an influencer in a certain ecosystem, like let's say like an influencer in Hyperliquid or something like that. And then the Friday episodes will be a rotating tap of co-hosts. So maybe for a couple weeks we'll have one co-host, and maybe for the couple weeks after that we'll have a different co-host, different people coming on to chat degen stuff with me. The newsletters will continue. You'll be getting free newsletters on Mondays and Wednesdays. And for our pro subscribers, you will get LG's pro report on Friday afternoons, as well as the pro channel in Discord where you can chat with me, and the pro signals channel where I'll be posting some plays as well. So a lot of good things going on Milk Road Degen. I appreciate everybody who's been able to support us and support me in the last couple of months as we've launched this. It's not easy to launch a new channel, folks. It's not easy to do this stuff and to integrate teams and integrate podcast hosts like me and everything. So I appreciate everybody who's helped. For our last show, I'm honestly just going to go through tickers that I'm looking at today. It's alt season. Things are absolutely popping off. So we're going to go through a few different ones that I've got my eye on. And I just want to remind you that nothing on the show is financial advice. You know that. Nothing on the channel is financial advice. I hope you made some good decisions in the last couple months, because there's basically nothing you could have bought that would have gone down unless you bought that new stuff, which is something that I am also a victim of sometimes, buying shiny new things. But I hope that watching the show has brought you some good fortune, at least in some format. And the best way to keep track of everything that's going on is to head on over to my profile, hit that link.milkroad.com, and go on over, subscribe to the newsletter. And I think we have a new one going out today. No, it hasn't gone out yet. But there's a new one going out today with 3 big memes that I think are making big comebacks, and I'm actually going to talk about some of them today. So let's get into it. First one I'll talk about is SPX. So this is one of the biggest Murad memes, who's been kind of like the king of meme coins for the last little while. This thing has been in price discovery for maybe about a week now. So SPX, probably the biggest, one of the biggest memes of the last year, right? This is massive, wants to flip the S&P 500. We always hear that kind of story, but this thing is showing just an unbelievable amount of strength. It broke through that all-time high finally just last week, and now is in pure price discovery. We've got 3 straight green candles, man. Look at that. You've got these little bull flags that print every couple days, and this thing just keeps popping off. That volume going into that daily volume is absolutely berserk. So it touched $2 billion earlier, which would put it, if you exclude Trump and PENGU, that would make it the 4th biggest meme by market cap that there is, or 5th biggest meme, I should say, rather, after Doge, Pepe, Doge, Shiba, Pepe, Bonk, and now SPX right up in there. Just unbelievable stuff. So SPX is something where, how do you play such a big ticker like this, right? And maybe it's something good to hold in your portfolio. Maybe if you hold it, there's like airdrops or something like that. I don't follow the ecosystem enough, but I start to look at these as not majors, but major alts, right? Because you're talking about $2 billion. You're in the neighborhood of like Optimism and other like big L2s, right? So I think looking at it, trading it the same way is the way to do it. I think something like this, if you think that something like an SPX and that memes are going to keep going, I think being in a spot trade, sure, for maybe a 2x, right? 4 billion would be nuts, but it's possible. That's not the worst idea, but I think the risk is pretty massive because these are memes, right? These could easily crater back down. This thing less than a month ago was at $1 billion, right? So you could have already doubled it, but now might be a little late on that move. What I would look at this point is perp trades, right? I think that that's something good. I've been looking at FARTCOIN this morning, and you can tell I'm on the 1 hour chart here. So when I woke up around 5 a.m., it was at 1.5, now at 1.6. So that would have been a very good thing to long. Um, let's talk about FARTCOIN for a second here because I got the light hyperliquid window open. So actually, first thing, if you believe in the cup and handle theory, right? You've got cup and handle. Let's look at SPX, right, which did this, zip, and now going to shoot up, right? And FARTCoin is kind of similar, right? Very similar, following a very, very similar chart. I've got the hyperliquid screen open here. Not as obvious of a cup and handle. It could actually still be in the handle part, right? It hasn't actually like broken out of that trend yet. It's trying to today, right? Let me erase all my stupid drawings. But FARTCoin is trying to break through that like cycle high today. If it closed at 1.6, this would be its highest close in over 2 months, and its highest close, actually the highest close it's had um, in since January. So if this thing can close up here and looking to break out, but I don't think it's quite ready yet. But SPX, FARTCoin, two massive, massive memes. FARTCoin at 1.6 billion with an all-time high that only lasted a day or two of 2.6 with a close never above 2.1. So the close on FARTCoin is actually quite low. And I don't know. Let's see can we see volume on FARTCoin? Volume on FARTCoin also really high. So SPX and FARTCoin, two of the big meme leaders. SPX to me clearly on a very big breakout trend, but I don't think that FARTCoin is just there yet. But these are tokens I'm looking at. And if I'm liking the position that I see, if I'm liking the action and I'm liking the movement, then I'm looking at perps. I'm looking at longs on hyperliquid, also to build volume there. That's the main thing I'm trying to do right now is build volume on hyperliquid, especially in their perps and holding hype and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of hype, let's head over there because it's something that I've been waiting to buy. I haven't really had the chance to because there's been a lot of entries for it, and we had a lot of entries literally just a week ago, 2 weeks ago that we didn't take, or at least I didn't take. This thing actually never really having been in a cup and handle format, right? Like it had a little one, but it broke out of that in early May, and now has been kind of in this almost pure price discovery movement. Hype to me is obviously the biggest winner of the cycle, right? This thing airdropped at $2 billion when it first came out. And now it's at $47 billion market cap with still 40% of the token still to come out. This thing printing like a pretty nice chart here. If you look at how it's done since its kind of lows, you've got a really nice, really, really nice uptrend. And again, a lot of tokens are like that, but this uptrend is like, this is a steep one. And hype, what I like about hype is that it has an ecosystem that's still being built out, right? You have everything that's going on Hyper EVM. You have all this DeFi, a lot of stuff that we've covered in the newsletter in terms of how to get started. So if you read back the newsletter last week, we've got a 10-minute guide to get started on Hyperliquid, which is nice. To me, this is something where I'm trying to buy on dips, but it's really hard to say where those dips are. I think before this thing really takes off and goes maybe to, a lot of people are calling for $70, which would be nuts, but not impossible at this point. I think that's only like not even maybe like a 40% move, 45% move for it to go to $70. Let's say 68. Let's put it up to 70 right here. I think before that happens, I don't think that would happen for a couple months. Obviously, it could happen tomorrow, right? Like these things do move fast. But I think that this thing is going to take a long time to break through this like hypothetical like $50 kind of barrier right here. Although it's looking like it wants to, but I think a lot of good tickers need those big pullbacks. So I would actually look for a pullback maybe to like 40 or something like that before I bought into Hyperliquid. Obviously, it depends on what the conditions are, but I think it's such an obvious winner. I think it's a good long-term hold, at least through to the end of the cycle. And then even after, if the cycle doesn't and everything crashes, I think something you want to scoop up. I think it's the Solana of this cycle, as in it's going to be even bigger next time. But I think all great coins have to have pullbacks. We already had a pullback last week. Right here, if we zoom in a little bit, we had a pullback last week, even a dip all the way down to 43. And I think we're due for a few more of those before this thing really pops off and kind of breaks through $50. So I know, very probably a not popular opinion, but anything that's below probably $41, I would be buying, stacking, staking in all the different protocols you can stake to try and get ready for that next hyperliquid airdrop if it does or if it ever comes. So those are the big ones. We got a hype FARTCOIN that we covered. How much time we got? Okay, almost done already. PENGU, I'm not going to talk about it. PENGU, I think is just trying to get back to its all-time high. You have a tremendous amount of support. And Abstract, which is their chain that they built, is probably going to be launching their token in what do you call it? Q4. But again, if you like the cup and handle technique, everything's been in cup and handle, right? Because it's such a terrible downtrend. You got a nice cup and handle there, nice cross side there. I don't know if the cup and handle is done just yet. I think it could still chop. It's up 22% today, though, which is absolutely berserk. And it's actually getting close to that all-time high, especially if you look at all-time highs in terms of a close, which is 4.3 billion or whatever. I don't know what their supply is at, but let's just call it 4.3 cents. Put it that way. So I think can this thing, PENGU doing really well. Lots of big announcements. Penguins coming back. Pudgy Penguins coming back as well. Abstract is something that we went over how to farm a long time ago. I haven't been very good at farming it lately, but I have still been accumulating points, which is nice. I hold some of the memes. And one thing I'm gonna be looking at today, which I mentioned a few times in the past, is memes on Abstract chain, because as the price of PENGU rips, I think those memes are probably going along with it. And you can see, look at this volume in the last couple of days, man. Look at this, just absolutely insane volume. So I always chase volume. There's a lot of volume across the board right now, but PENGU is one that I'm looking at. I wish I had a long open on it. Honestly, I wish I'd been able to read this little like consolidation cup and handle formation here. It seems pretty obvious when we look at it, but I wish I'd be able to read that for a nice pop off today. What else can we look at? Oh, useless. Useless was the one I wanted to talk about mainly today, mainly because I think I actually put in a buy somewhere at like 230 or 230. Let me check. I think I'd actually put in a buy order just below that low. Do I have orders open on my order books? I definitely had one open, I think. Oh, I had a buy. Yeah, I had a buy open at 256. 256 cap. And look at that. Look at how much time it actually spent. Oh, I hate to be right out of buy open, but then I forgot I didn't put any funds in that wallet. So I had a buy open right here, right at this 256 range. I had a feeling that it would dip all the way down to that, and it did. And then it dipped down to that just last night and then popped all the way back up to 335, which is berserk. It would have been an over 30% gain for me, or just about a 30% gain, but that's okay. Useless to me is one of my absolute favorite tickers right now. The chart is so obvious, and let's look at it right now. If you have the chance, if you have extra funds to bet on useless, I think that these are obvious, especially on those times where it seems like it might actually finally be dead. Look at this just beautiful uptrend right there, never really breaking too far below that line. I think it's still going to have a bit more chop. I think it's still got a bit more kind of like, I think it could still play down here along this line, but I think very rarely will we see it come back down to maybe 200 million or something like that. If it does, I would be a little concerned, but now I would say we kind of chop back up and then this thing goes for a new all-time high this week. It probably finally breaks that $400 million mark. So useless, one of the most obvious charts to me. I'm looking for dips. I missed my dip. I didn't have the funds in the account where I set the buy. So an absolutely huge miss on my end. But I wish I'd had the cash for it. The only last thing I will leave you with is Startup. So Startup is part of the Launchcoin ecosystem. Talked about it many times. Also forming a really obvious cup and handle, but a much choppier one. I thought it was going to break out the other day when it got to 48 million, but it did not. It kind of stalled. It can't really seem to break that $50 million mark. But I think it's going to be due very soon. I thought maybe it was going to happen last night as it was ripping at 44 million, but now it's kind of crashed back down. I'm watching this one like a hawk. It's part of Launchcoin. All the Launchcoin tokens are kind of shit. Launchcoin's kind of in the gutter, but this one's perfect because it's just a pure meme. All the other things on Launchcoin are actual business ideas, right? With founders and all that stuff. But Startup is the meme. It's a meme of all that. It's fake. There is no company here. It's just the meme. And to me, that's perfect. If there's anything that survives the whole launch coin drama and that whole ecosystem, I think it would be startup, because if launch coin and Believe app and all that stuff dies down, um, I think that this thing survives, right? So I like this one. Not printing as much volume as it was, but picking up volume in the last couple of days after printing a big red candle, trying to go for an all-time high. So I'm watching for this one to creep back up. And if it can break 50 million, I'm an absolute buyer, because I think that this thing can totally send. Anyways, those are my thoughts for today. That's what I'm looking at this week. Thank you for joining me every single day, if you have. And I hope you subscribe to the newsletter. I hope you subscribe to the podcast when it comes out in 2 weeks. And I will definitely see you next time on Milk Road Degen in just 2 weeks back on the podcast. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you very soon right back.